Welcome to the In Shape Fitness Show. I'm Coach Kim. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's podcast is called The Horror of the Daily Workout. And it is quite a horror. I get the weirdest looks when I see clients through my business in New York City and talk to them about doing something every day. I mean, there is a physical, horrifying reaction on people's faces. At least the way that they don't necessarily say no and completely express the sense of fear, but I can see it, this sort of really discomforting kind of feel about the idea that you might have to do something, a workout. And I have my air quotes here right now, which you of course cannot see, but the idea of having to exercise every day is something that people just don't like. And that's really unfortunate because the gym is not a sustainable, I use that word a lot, it's not sustainable for your life to be going to the gym, sort of picking your life, yourself up out of your home, office, community, whatever life activities that you carry on, and then going into a consumer experience that takes up to like 90 minutes on a regular basis. Now, if you're really attached to the idea of the community component of working out, if you are, and this I experience a lot with people that run, I train, I'm a coach for the Road Runners Club in New York City and the marathon as well as half marathon, and we have a lot of fun running as a group, so people come out and they will spend hours together on a regular basis. But hitting the gym twice or three times a week isn't a sustainable solution for lifelong health and your functional existence, especially as you get older. So today's podcast is about that subject. I'm taking a lot of this out of the excerpts are coming from my book, Darwin on the Treadmill, which will be out soon. And I'm very excited about that. I'm self-publishing it, of course, because I'm not a known writer, but I'm going to get it out on the market here in the next couple of months. And we're going to talk a little bit about the if you do choose to try and do something every day, how you can begin very small with the habit formation components that will allow your brain to be excited about stimulating your body. And that's not to say that you're going to, jump out of bed and be super excited to, do a really sweaty boot camp sort of style routine every single day. I'm not talking about, P90X or whatever those things are called, those beach body workouts, all the really hardcore stuff that you see that's really like where the people are wearing basically no clothes and the music is like club music and everybody's really sort of oiled down with their skin and it's supposed to be really enticing, and I get why it is, but that's not the type of movement that we're talking about here. So we're going to go through a couple of sequences that are really simple, that don't require any equipment and don't really require any super skill. We take really basic functional movements, the building blocks for really basic movements, and then we add a couple of kinetic movement in so that you can get your elevated heart rate and you can move in lots of planes of motion, hit all of the major muscle groups in your body, and obviously produce some, stimulated metabolism, some boost of your metabolism and your energy along the way. So let's begin, as I always begin, with just a few seconds of meditative breathing and something I call the postural systems check. Postural systems check. Really just a fancy way of saying, think about where your body is. Take a second to breathe in through your nose. Not a full just 1 second, but maybe 5 seconds to take a deep inhale through your nose. And then bellow the air out through your mouth. Smell the air as it comes in through your nose. And bellow the carbon dioxide out of your mouth. I like that pattern for movement, even though you might not necessarily actively breathe that way throughout the day. It is really effective way when you're exercising to keep your body, your control over your body parts in check, and it helps your body react to its needs, its internal needs in terms of oxygenated blood, which means a faster heart rate and hormone stimulation. All of that is better controlled if you activate the part of your brain that is stimulated through the nose breathing inhale. Then bellow all that carbon dioxide out of your nose, or out of your mouth rather. So the postural systems check after this is taking a couple more seconds to think about where your head is. I don't mean that in a proverbial way. I mean in an actual physical way. Is your head sitting straight on top of your neck without craning forward like you normally are, looking down at your device or looking ahead at your screen or maybe over the steering wheel? We have a strangely serious deviation going on in terms of the posture of the human body when it comes to our modern conveniences related to technology mostly. But of course cars are technology technically. The neck is constantly looking forward and down. And what does that do? That puts strain on the back of your neck. Yes, you probably feel that if you ever, kind of turn your head and find yourself needing to, rub your shoulders, the top of your shoulders and the back of your neck a little bit, or you feel some strain down the middle and even the lower part of your back. That could be partly due to the fact that your head is not on straight. Again, literally, not figuratively or proverbially. Your head, which is about 10 pounds worth of weight, needs to be on top of your neck where the spine is not having to curve in order to maintain the position. So when you move your head forward, your center of gravity is off, and you are really making it difficult for your throat and your air to process properly, right? For your saliva, if you're drinking or eating, just the collapse of the front of your neck and then the pull of the back of your neck and then the center of gravity adjustments that are being made without your knowing it by virtue of the posture of your upper spine, your neck, and your head. Then you want to think about the position of your shoulders, because we also, as a result of typing and driving, we tend to curve our shoulders in, collapsing at the chest. And we don't want to do that. We want to push the shoulders back and open up the chest. So that's important. And then you want to think about your hips, your pelvis. It's like two sort of side bowls, kind of. And you're going to, as if you sit all day, what you're going to experience posturally is something you don't recognize or think about, but your pelvis, those two bowls are sort of tilting forward. So the top tilts forward a little bit, and that pushes your butt back and out a little bit. The resulting deviation from your posture contracts the lower back muscles and pulls on the front of the leg, which is a problem for your hip flexors. And then a lot of the stabilizers, the smaller muscles that reside underneath the gluteus maximus and get really into the deep components of your gluteo hip or gluteopelvic function, in terms of your gait, in terms of the way that you're able to stand, the way that you're able to get down onto the floor and stand up, those kinds of things. The last thing you want to think about is your foot placement. And your foot placement is really important, because if you have a tendency to turn your toes out when you're standing up, that means that you are activating parts of your body that turn off other parts of your body, and you're destabilized. So you're trying to, without you knowing it, you're trying to increase your stability by widening your base in your connection with the floor. But because the human body, the anatomy is not meant to do that, you are turning off certain components of soft tissues and you're overacting other parts of your body. And there are lots of issues related to your gait that are a result of this. So that's the postural systems check. I took a little bit longer today to do it because when you wake up in the morning and you're committed to doing a little something every day, taking 5 minutes, maybe you're sleepy. I do all of my morning exercise in my pajamas, first thing out of bed. I roll out of bed. And then I have a sip of water and I go straight to my living room and I take a couple of seconds to, kind of shake my head. I actually spin around. It's the first of the 5 Tibetans, and the first of the moves is to spin clockwise around 21 times. So that's the very first thing that I do. But taking a couple of seconds, maybe 60 seconds, to just think about where your body parts are, to contract the small muscles, to pull in your belly button, to breathe a couple of really deep breaths is a great way to start turning on some of those switches within your body's mechanics. Now, as I said, people really cringe at the thought of daily exercise. The response that I get when I recommend daily exercise to my clients, and these are mostly people that I work with, for a long period of time. I kind of go in little ebbs and flows of this in terms of pushing people to adopt daily exercise. But it really does. I get shock and irritation and I just don't have time. I just don't have time to complete and utter horror. They almost always refer back to how busy they are, that they rush out of the bed from the moment their alarm clock goes off and they're, in the morning. They have to get to work. They've got to get their kids out of the house. They got to get their kids to school or whatever. There are just too many things for people to do. And then there are the people that think that they are going to be able to maybe do something at the end of their day. Now, the end of the day is tricky. For people that go to their exercise, their sort of consumer-based workouts, they basically put themselves in the situation where they have to be out of their office at a particular time in order to get to their workout at a particular time. And guess what ends up happening? That is what that is the recipe for skipping the workout. It's one of the main reasons why our entire industry recommends that getting your exercise, your regular exercise in at the first part of your day, within your morning routine, if you want to make it a sustainable, lifelong habit, because the day gets away from you and there's always a reason to skip it. There's always another meeting. There's always another phone call. There's always something that happens that will tell you, oh, that's so much more important than running into the gym. So people need to do this type of work in their homes, and the very best time to do it is in the morning. Now, another thing that people talk to me about is that they believe, and you might feel this way because the majority of Americans are overweight. The majority of Americans, and we're getting insanely close to having to say that the majority of Americans are dangerously overweight, because obesity is on the rise at all age levels. We are really suffering from metabolic conditions, from lifestyle conditions that relate to an excess of fat in the body and a sedentary life that doesn't foster movement patterns throughout your day. Now, you don't have any choice in the matter in terms of your job, but you do have choice in terms of the things that you do in between your home and your job, or in between your bed and your living room, and in between, maybe your lunch hour, taking a couple of couple of minutes every day to do just a little bit of moving around even through the day. And that is something that you're going to have to work through. But it is a really important note that if you feel like you have a long way to go because you've got 30, 40, 50, maybe 80 pounds extra on your frame, you feel like the only way that you're going to sort of check off a box that leads to your success is for you to have a really hardcore workout, then you're never going to get there, because hardcore workouts fatigue you significantly. Anyone, me, you want to just laze around after that. It is so much better to take small steps towards a sustainable approach to exercise every day so that you can always come back to it. Now, what are those things that you can do? There are a ton of things aside from the postural systems check, which, as I said before, is the thing that you should be doing every single day. And if you were to get up every single morning for a week and simply go to your living room floor and simply take a couple of deep breaths before you do the very first thing that you would do otherwise, to just stand in a place, breathe deeply, think about your body parts, and then, and only then, make a decision, conscious one, about just one exercise that you can do, and do that one exercise for a month. You will help build a bridge towards a lifelong pattern that will be much more difficult to break once you have an established routine. Because if you can build a bridge with the deep breathing, the thinking about your body parts, and one exercise, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what one exercise could be, you're halfway there. Because if you do one exercise, I'll bet you'll do two. And if you do two, I'll bet you'll do three. And once you get to the point where you're taking 5 minutes, and that's it, all we're talking about still. You can do 3 exercises in 5 minutes. You can do the breathing, the postural systems check, and 3 exercises easily within 5 minutes. That's it. You will be on your way. Now, these long-term changes with the tiny incremental steps, it's really difficult to see what the point is, because it takes a fairly long time to see the needle move on the scale. I have to be honest about that, because it's true. It may take a lot of other changes for your weight to begin to drop, for you to feel better. But starting really, really small and thinking just about the habit formation first will, number one, help give you some level of confidence that you're moving in the right direction. Number two, it will be a really good insurance policy in terms of making sure that you don't start an exercise regimen and then hurt yourself or overwhelm yourself, burn yourself out, and then go back to the starting line, go back to ground zero. Now, the exercise that I think is most beneficial for our sedentary lives is the hip bridge. So the one exercise, if you're going to try, just as an experiment, just do it for a week. 1 week, 7 days. Start tomorrow. It's Friday for me here. Tomorrow's Saturday. From Saturday to next Friday. Write me through bodybyInShape.com or Kim@InShapeLLC.com. Write me a note. Tell me how you do. Go to Twitter, In Shape Fitness, or go to our Facebook page and write us. Tell us how this works, how it does, how you get through this week. If you've not done any exercise regimens in the last couple of years, or maybe if you work out in a gym or work out with me, in an apartment building in New York City a couple of times a week, I can't even express to you how frustrating it is to be on the business side of this industry and, see a client who's really committed to the sessions, but still see that client struggle with goals because he or she doesn't do anything outside of the 2 or 3 sessions with the trainer. My entire team, we experience this all the time, and know the rest of the industry does as well. But that's because 2 times a week doesn't really work. 3 times a week doesn't really make a huge difference. You've got to do something every single day. So your assignment for the week is to stand up in the middle of your living room floor. Maybe it's your bedroom floor if you have a big enough bedroom. In New York City, I can't do my spinning around in my bedroom. I will whack my hand on the closet door or the wall, and that will be the end of me for the rest of the day. I have to go to the one place in my apartment where I have the space, and that is in my living room. And I'm lucky that I know that I've been in apartments where you can't even do it at all. You have to literally maybe go into your lobby or maybe just outside your front door or something. But stand up and spin around if you want, like I do, or just stand up and take a couple of deep breaths. Think about where your body parts are. Make those little postural corrections. You know what you do. You know you slouch if I'm slouching right now. I just corrected myself just now. Do it in the morning for just a couple of minutes and then plop down on the floor. Make sure that you lie down on the floor and that when you bend your knees and put your feet on the floor, your knees and your ankles line up, straight line, and that your heels and toes are in line. You don't want your toes to turn out, like I said before when I was referring to the standing position. And then when you lift your hips up, you want to make sure that you keep your toes down. You want to make sure that by keeping your toes down, you're utilizing the back of the body, your hamstrings and your butt as much as the front of your body, your hip flexors and your quads or your thighs. Because if you lift up your toes, you're adding a little bit of pressure to your lower back. And then when you are supporting your body, the muscles that are primarily holding the body up, your hip flexors, are gonna get help from the quads, not from the butt and the hamstrings. So you want to make sure that your feet are down. Now there are a ton of things, dozens of different variations of the hip bridge that you can do. If while you're down there you feel like you want to move around again, that's fine. You can lift your body up and down. That's a simple hip dip. You can do the same thing with one leg. You can do sit-ups in this position. You can cross one leg over the other and do some kicks. You can, what else? You can rotate the body across from one side to the other with a hand and do what we call a bridge reach. So there are so many different things that you can do with hip bridge, but I would recommend the other couple of exercises that I think are really good building blocks are the plank and downward facing dog and squats. Simple. 4 really simple exercises that do so much for you, and that if you just do those 4 total exercises combined with, so it's about a minute for each exercise, combined with the postural systems check and your deep breaths, you got 6-7 minutes tops. All right, so I'm going to leave you with that message where you're going to make an attempt for the next 7 days to roll out of bed, go to a spot where you can stand up with your arms out wide. Not that you need to do that for the postural systems check, but just to give yourself enough room where you have enough room to lie down, you have enough room for your arms to be out wide. So a space, about 6 by 6 36 feet of space of area of, yeah, you know what I mean, square feet. Been a while since I've taken geometry. So find a space. You're going to take a couple of deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. You're going to think about your head, your shoulders, your hips, your feet. And then you're going to practice your hip bridge. If you feel like you want to do another couple of exercises, the order of importance would be hip bridge, plank, downward facing dog, and finish with squats. I'm Coach Kim from InShape Fitness. Let me know how it goes. You can find me at bodybyInshape.com or on social media via Twitter or Facebook, or email me, kim@inshapellc.com. Have a great day. I'll see you again soon.